You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
USA Radio News with Jason Wirt.
We're here today to celebrate American engineering and American manufacturing. We're also here today to celebrate jobs.
President Trump speaking to workers at a Boeing assembly plant in South Carolina. Trump spoke about the importance of having a strong national defense.
As George Washington said, being prepared for war is the best way to prevent it. And that's really what it is. Best way to prevent war, being prepared.
Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt is the new head of the EPA. He was confirmed on a 52-46 vote. Wyoming Senator John Barrasso sang the praises of Pruitt's work fighting the EPA as Oklahoma Attorney General.
When the EPA overstepped its mission, Attorney General Pruitt led the charge to rein in big government Washington overreach.
USA Radio News.
The transatlantic bond remains our strongest bulwark against instability and violence. NATO exists to protect our way of life.
Defense Secretary James Mad Dog Mattis speaking to his counterparts in NATO about the importance of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
As guardians for our nations and as sentinels for new threats, we all see our community of nations under threat on multiple fronts as the arc of instability builds on NATO's periphery and beyond.
New U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, is calling out that organization for anti-Semitic actions and noting they have an entire division dedicated to just the Palestinians.
There is no division devoted to illegal missile launches from North Korea. There is no division devoted to the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, Iran. The prejudiced approach to Israeli-Palestinian issues does the peace process no favors.
For news and analysis, visit westernjournalism.com. This is USA Radio News. How would you like to see a woolly mammoth? A real, live woolly mammoth.
Sounds like something out of Jurassic Park. Scientists may be on the verge of bringing back the woolly mammoth. Genetics researchers at Harvard say they've been working for 2 years on recreating a DNA blueprint of the ancient mammoth. Scientists are using DNA from mammoths preserved in Arctic permafrost to hunt for the genes that separated them from common elephants. The Harvard team thinks that splicing the material into the genome of an elephant embryo might create an animal with features resembling an ancient mammoth. Could happen within the next 2 years.
A new study showing Americans are still stressed out over the current political climate.
The annual survey by the American Psychological Association shows 2/3 of Americans stressed out about our nation's political climate and future, regardless of party affiliation.
59% of Republicans expressed concern about that, and 76% of Democrats.
Dr. Catherine Nordahl notes that's the biggest spike in 10 years. Specific concerns?
Personal safety, potential acts of terrorism, and police violence against minorities.
Sarah Lee Kessler, New York.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says he's applauding the job President Trump is doing, but he's not a fan of daily presidential tweets. In a Capitol briefing, McConnell says he wished he wouldn't tweet quite so much. You're listening to USA Radio News.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books. You're listening to the Spark Radio Network. Radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
Folks, well, happy Saturday morning or Sunday, or actually maybe even Saturday night or Sunday night, depending on where you're listening, or maybe even Monday morning. That's right, this show's really confusing sometimes. The show airs everywhere at all different times, so I'm just going to probably at some point stop mentioning dates and times. Anyway, welcome to the America Off the Rails, the weekend edition for the week ending February 18th, 2017. What do you say we get it started? So, lots of stuff to talk about this week. We'll be going through things kind of item by item. First of all, I'd like to take a moment to just say congratulations to someone that I've come to know a little bit, Michael Loftus. Actually, I've worked with him on his The Loftus Party podcast a few times, which airs here on KLRN Radio. It's moving to Mondays at 8 Eastern once they start remembering to send me a file again. Yes, you know who I'm talking to if you're listening right now. Anyway, so actually he was on Red Eye, the Fox News edition, and it aired overnight, Friday night to Saturday morning, and he did a spectacular job. It was actually fun to watch. I actually got up early Saturday morning and watched it, so actually, for those of you listening live, I just finished watching the whole thing about 2 hours ago. And it's inspired a little bit of what I'm going to talk about today, to be honest, and in this weekending episode, because it kind of fits. But just to kind of give you a bit of an overview. So for those of you that were listening live, you heard some news clips right before the commercial started playing. I want to talk about this one first before we get to the first break, because I didn't really plan on it taking up that much of the show anyway. So apparently they are trying to bring back woolly mammoths. Have these people not ever watched Jurassic Park? This is not going to be a good thing. I mean, come on, seriously. We've seen how this ends. Can we not do this? And there's another reason why I'm bringing this up that we'll get to later in the show. It actually has to do with one of the segments that was on Red Eye. And they were talking about all these driverless cars and, now pilotless drones that are actually drones now big enough that people can sit in. Apparently those are coming to Dubai. I don't know. Everybody used to call us the wealthiest country in the world. If you're building pilotless drones for travel and recreation and using them for your population, maybe we aren't the most powerful or economically strong country in the world anymore. Who knows? More about that, too, as we come back. But I just wanted to talk about that whole woolly mammoth story for just a second. This is not going to end well. I understand science. I understand the need to know, to understand, to learn. But this is not a good plan. All right, they're not going to listen to me anyway, so what do you say we get the first break out of the way? This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We will be right back here in about 60 seconds.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
All right, folks, welcome back to America Off the Rails, the weekend edition. Now, we've got the weekend review, weekend edition, whatever you want to call it. All right, so anyway, we have a lot to talk about today. So I'd like to start with something that actually amuses me because I'm from Oklahoma. So, wrong button. So Attorney Scott General, Attorney, oh my God. Get paid to talk for a living. Sometimes still can't seem to manage to pull it off. All right, so me starting this segment again. So, as someone from Oklahoma, this is something that actually pleases me and amuses me greatly. Attorney General Scott Pruitt was just confirmed on Friday as the new director of the EPA, to which the liberals and environmentalists of the world cried out in pain, and it sounded remarkably like this.
You cursed brat! Look what you've done! I'm melting! Melting! Oh, what a world! What a world!
Now, as far as the whole Scott Pruitt dust-up, here's the thing that nobody seems to understand. Scott Pruitt wasn't trying to bloody the nose of the EPA just for the sake of bloodying the nose of the EPA. He was legitimately going after them when he felt like they had overstepped their governmental authority. And let's be honest, over the last few decades, the EPA has gotten really, really good at overstepping their governmental authority. So who better to put in charge of a group that we know has become power hungry and basically just trying to find ways to justify their own existence than someone who is actually going to do what I hope he's going to do, which is rein in their governmental overreach. Because we keep talking about this and how bad it is and how many different things that they have done that in certain instances have absolutely crippled local economies based on things that aren't even part of their original purview. This is the point, folks. We have gotten our government agencies to the point where they are out of control and they don't even recognize it anymore because they have to find new and better ways to justify their existence and their expenditures because of the way our system is set up. Our system doesn't reward government agencies for being efficient. Our system doesn't reward local economies and state economies for being efficient. If you are given a certain amount of federal funding, you have to use that amount of federal funding within that year, or you lose that amount of federal funding the next year. That is not how this should work. We should be rewarding groups that can find ways to do things at a more efficient and less cost to the American taxpayer, not punishing them. But that would make too much sense. But back to the EPA. They have exceeded their authority on so many levels over the last decade, and nobody but a handful of state attorney generals have called them on it. I can't think of anyone better to lead the EPA than someone who basically went at them and said, no, you should not be doing this. This is outside of your purview. As a state attorney general, I have the authority to take you to court over this, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, for the liberals and the tree huggers, they see it as letting a fox into the henhouse. I think we did that already. Because the EPA has become the fox in the henhouse. They're no longer worried about protecting you and me. They're worried about feeding their own budget and their own bottom line. This needs to change, and I think Scott Pruitt is the guy to make that change. Now, of course, when I mention this to the liberals and the leftists that I know, it sounds a lot like this.
You cursed rat! Look what you've done!
I mean, I know I'm playing it a lot, but, this is literally, as an Oklahoman, the reaction I get when I tell people that I am okay with Scott Pruitt becoming the director of the EPA. Not only am I okay with it, I think it was actually a smart move by this administration. I really do. Because I think he's going to do a good job. Because he understands that the EPA must act within federal law, must act within the purview that they've been provided, and I think he's going to do a good job of making sure that they do that. But all my liberal friends see is, oh my God, the Republicans don't want clean air. They don't want clean water. Nothing could be further from the truth. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of why and how I know nothing could be further from the truth. Let's not forget that a few short weeks ago, we had a liberal leftist protest on in the Washington Monument area, the Washington Mall, and they left it completely trashed. There was trash all over the place. There were signs left all over the place. Of course, everybody was like, oh, no, they did that on purpose. They took all the signs and they left them in front of a Trump building. So it was a form of protest. I don't care. Was it an act of, was it illegal for them to leave the sign on the ground? Yes or no? That's my question. Yes, that's the answer. So, rewind, 2008, 2012, Tea Party really comes pretty strong on the scene between 2008 and 2012. They start holding rallies in D.C. and other places around the country. When the Tea Party would come on the scene, the media would downplay the events, even though we would find out later they were much larger than anybody would talk about. And then not only that, they would go after the events and try to see if they could find gotcha moments of, these supposed conservatives who try to tell everybody that they really do want to take care of the environment, trashing the places they leave behind. But the conservatives would actually typically leave the place as clean, if not cleaner, than when they found it. So this is my question for all the liberal, tree-hugging, hippie-type folks out there. If you guys are the ones that are supposedly the ones that care about the environment, why do you only leave it up to the government to take care of the environment? I don't get it. I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but I had a friend of mine who was complaining because his city didn't pass a recycling ordinance, to supply one of the recycling specific polycarts, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Okay, so I'm confused because there's a recycling center somewhere near you, I'm sure. Are you still recycling, or are you going to wait till the government passes the law for the polycart? Now, I'm not going to lie. I live out in the country. I don't recycle. We compost. Same thing, because, we grow some of our own food. We have, chickens for eggs, chickens for meat. We're actually working on getting a couple of pigs. And we grow our own vegetables. We consume what we grow. And I like it that way. Because there are other ways to recycle other than, just letting somebody else deal with it for you. But my point is, when it comes to the whole idea that Republicans are the ones that want dirty air and filthy water, we're the ones that actually clean up after ourselves. If we go somewhere, and I know this because this is the same discussion that I've had with my children time and time and time again. If we go somewhere, we typically try to leave it better than when we found it. Because we know the type of backlash we would face in the media, especially if we're getting together in a large group. We know the type of backlash that we would face in the media if we didn't. But that's not even the real reason. The real reason is because we actually do care about the environment. We understand that we should be good stewards of our environment. No one is saying that we shouldn't be. But what we are saying is we don't need the government with their thumb on top of us every step of the way, telling us every little thing that we're supposed to do to take care of the environment when we're the ones that usually try to do a pretty good job of taking care of it in the first place. So yes, I know I have used almost this entire segment talking about Scott Pruitt, but hey, I'm from Oklahoma. He's the Attorney General. He's now the Director of the EPA, which I think is going to be a great thing. I could live to eat my words, but this is the good thing about doing talk radio, because now you guys have me on tape forever saying that I think that Scott Pruitt is going to be a good director of the EPA. If history proves me wrong, I will, just like after the Trump election, have to come on air and do a mea culpa. However, we aren't there yet. So we're going to take another really quick break. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. You are listening to the Weekend Review ending 2/18/17. We will be right back here in about 3 minutes.
Complexities causing us to pause as we collect our thoughts. So don't blink when you wanna come across the border. Take a look around and come to.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
All right, folks, welcome back. And, you know, I used a lot of that first segment to, actually all of the, well, second segment technically, to go over the Scott Pruitt nomination, which, by the way, was strictly party lines. I think it was, 52-48. They thought they would have had at least maybe 1-2 defectors. They'd anticipated maybe Pence having to come in and do the tiebreaker again. Didn't happen. And again, history could prove me wrong, but I think Scott Pruitt's going to be a great EPA director. And since we're both from here, I'm hoping at some point maybe to be able to get him on the show. May have the folks behind the scenes start working on that here in the next few weeks. Actually, before I forget, KLRN Radio will be at CPAC starting next week. So we will be on Radio Row all Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I do plan on at least attempting to make the trip. So far, it looks like I might be able to be there for Friday and Saturday. I'll also be running around, maybe doing a little work for Lanterns and a couple of the outfits that I'm actually syndicated through while I'm there as well. If you want to come out and check us out, we will have a team down there. We'll have, of course, Jess from Jess's POV. Looks like Mr. Wright from the from both Robinson and Wright, and the show that he does with Susan Swift, Constitution and Culture, will actually be with us. Apparently, Susan Swift will be there as well, just not as a member of the media. So we're going to see if we can wrangle her in for maybe a couple of interviews to at least get her take on it, since she's actually officially part of the station. Now, I would like to backpedal a little bit. In the opening remarks, we talked about this whole woolly mammoth thing. There's another thing that's becoming really prevalent in science now that used to be considered science fiction, and this is the whole artificial intelligence thing. We now have cars that can drive themselves. We now have vehicles that apparently people are comfortable enough to climb into, sit inside, and not only do they drive along a road, which I have to say, come on. I grew up watching the Jetsons and Knight Rider. I've been waiting for flying cars and self-driving cars for forever. I guess the good news is, at least from the drawing board stages to the point where we're at least testing, we're only about 17 years behind schedule as far as the Jetsons were concerned, because I actually have seen video footage of someone climbing into what really, really does look like an oversized remote-controlled drone, hitting a button, and it takes off and takes him where he wants to go. Apparently, the drone's top speed is about 100 miles an hour. It has a range of about 30 miles, though. So I'm confused. If it can do 100 miles an hour, but it only has a range of 30 miles, how long? I mean, that's like what? You have a 10, 50, maybe what? 100 miles an hour, so that would be... Hang on, I'm just doing a little bit of math in my head here. So if we're doing 100 miles in an hour, so that's basically, just to kind of do the math real quick, in about 20 minutes, you would go, it's 60 in 20 minutes, it's 60 miles an hour. You would go 60 miles in an hour. So you might as well say you're going to be covering about half that, or twice that distance. So in about 30 minutes, you'd be able to get maybe 55, 60 miles. And that's just kind of doing the math in my head. So I guess for right now, it would kind of be... Anybody remember the old Magnum PI show with the dude that had the island hopper charter thing, and it was a helicopter and kind of flew around the islands? Kind of getting the idea that that's kind of what this is going to be used for right now. But the scariest thing about all this artificial intelligence and vehicles that can drive themselves, and now they're testing actual big rigs that can drive themselves, is that we hear all this talk resurfacing again about this universal guaranteed income, because we're going to have so many people that were in this type of service industry and their jobs are going to disappear. So again, back to this whole woolly mammoth thing. And remember, I am a sci-fi nut, so I like some of the things that science fiction has brought about. What I'm really sad about is that we're not yet really exploring our solar system and the areas around it without using robotics technology. I kind of really was hoping that we ourselves would be doing that by now. But we've seen how this ends too. Terminator, anyone? I don't like the idea of smart robots. Google actually has been developing an AI now for a while, and they actually just recently, there was a story put out with it, with their AI, that they were trying to teach it basic cooperation. So they actually made 2 iterations of the same artificial intelligence and started having it play a basic, simple game where each of them had to collect as many apples as they could. And of course, they were virtual apples. So in the lesser intelligent versions of the AI, basically it would wind up usually being a tie. Everybody would get an equal share, and that would be the end of it. So as they started trying to incorporate more levels of intelligence, the artificial intelligence figured out how to be devious and how to basically learn how to play creatively, shall we say. And I guess we'll have to finish this when we come back, because we've hit the bottom of the hour already. My, oh my, we have got to take another break. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. Don't go away. We'll be right back after the break.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Having a place to go after school will make you a better student. Having an outlet to express yourself will make you a better artist. Having something to do together will make you a better family. At the Y, we're helping build better friends, listeners, writers, swimmers, scientists, and musicians, one chance at a time. Give the gift of opportunity. Support the Y at ymca.net. The Y, for a better us.
folks, welcome back. We're about halfway through. Actually, we are officially at the halfway point of the show, so wow. First bit of the show went by really quickly this morning. All right, so just to finish the topic that we were on before the bottom of the hour break, robot overlords, they're a bad idea. Why do we keep doing this to ourselves? Now we have scientists that are looking at bringing back woolly mammoths as if we didn't see what happened in Jurassic Park. I mean, we all know how this works. They find bits and pieces of information, they fill in other bits and pieces of information, and then they add in something else to fill in other missing pieces, and then there's something crazy that happens, some unintended consequence, and yet here we are. So back to the whole artificial intelligence thing, because it's much the same thing. We are teaching machines how to think like people. We don't even understand how come people think like people. We don't understand why things happen the way they happen and what it is about certain people that make them have deviant behavior and psychological tendencies that are dangerous, and yet now we're trying to teach machines to think more like people, and we're seeing this happening with the Google AI, because like I said, in the less intelligent versions where they were smart enough to do simple tasks. I don't know, now I'm starting to sound like the National Education Association. Anyway, so they were smart enough to do simple tasks. They would work cooperatively. Or at least they didn't know any better. So they would go and they would basically wind up with equal shares of the fruit. So, pardon me, as we added more layers, or as Google added more layers and made the intelligence larger and gave them more ability to think on their own and problem solve, they figured out that if they actually would be aggressive towards the other party that was trying to collect the fruit, they could wind up with more fruit. And that's exactly what they did. They actually, at some point, they gave the artificial intelligence lasers in the simulation, and they would actually set about with sabotaging the other party that was trying to collect the fruit, or even outright shooting them, which would basically remove them from being able to grab the fruit for a certain period of time, and then there would be one or the other of the artificial intelligence that would wind up winning that particular round, because in their mind, they got the most fruit. But this is my point. The more we teach machines to act like humans or think like humans, the more aggressive their intelligence becomes. This is something that we need to be paying attention to. Much like these eggheads over here, they're like, hey, we found some woolly mammoth DNA, and supposedly it was in an ice block. Don't lie to me, dude, you found it in amber. We know how this happened. All right, so anyway, on to the next topic, because there are still plenty of things to talk about, and we're running out of show. So, Donald Trump this week had several press conferences, actually. One with Bibi Netanyahu, where Donald Trump basically said, hey, whatever you guys are going to do, 1-state, 2-state solution, 3-state, 12, we don't really care. We're America, we support you, and we want to bring our relationship back to what it was before, which he didn't really say the 1-state, 2-state, 3-state, 12-state thing. But he did basically try to put America and Israel back on an even keel, because everybody knows under the Obama administration they hadn't been. And then, of course, the very next day, he has, an hour and a half presser to announce a cabinet member, and then proceeds to bash the press. Now, the interesting thing is, the day after the press bashing, a couple of interesting things happen. The AP runs a story based on a memo that was put out by a staffer that was blatantly just kind of left alone by the administration. However, since they couldn't get a comment from the administration other than no comment, they decided to run with the story anyway. And in this story, there were blatant falsehoods. So, Donald Trump's running around calling everybody fake news, and then they start acting like fake news. Now, the other interesting thing is, around the same time, I believe it was the New York Times put out an article or an op-ed of some kind comparing Donald Trump to the Rodney Dangerfield character in Caddyshack, to which Donald Trump replied,
"That's the story of my life. No respect. I got no respect at all. You kidding me? No respect at all. You kidding me?"
Not really, but the interesting thing is, in the article, they actually portrayed the character that was actually, they depicted the character portrayed by Rodney Dangerfield as a bad guy, when in all reality, if they'd bothered to watch 5 minutes of the movie, they would have realized that he was kind of the plucky underdog of the film. and the character that pretty much everybody loved. Of course, the film itself wouldn't have worked without the actual stuffed shirt of the show, which was played by Ted. I think his name's Ted Baxter. But the whole thing is, I'm tired of the attacks from everybody. Look, Donald, you want to hold a press conference? Great, hold a press conference. Call on who you want to call on. I don't care, because apparently there was some big kerfluffle this week because he called on Town Hall instead of the AP. Now, you tell me. So, but actually this just occurred to me, so run with me for a second. So at this press conference, Donald Trump is basically bashing every media outlet known to man, saying that they're all fake news, blah, 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 blah. And then the AP and Town Hall are both vying for his attention. Donald Trump calls on Town Hall as opposed to AP. And what, a day or two later, they run a completely insane story? I'm starting to see a corollary here. I think they got their feelings hurt. And I think when the administration basically gave them a no-comment answer, they really thought they had a smoking gun. Not just the fact that this administration doesn't really want to give somebody like the AP the time of day. And instead of doing your due diligence and trying to find out if this was something that was legitimate, you just decided to run with it based on the fact that you got a no comment from the administration. Now, there are people that are defending the actions of the AP by talking about the fact that in previous administrations, they would go to the White House press secretary and say, hey, we found this. Is there any truth to this? And they would get an answer. And then they would decide whether they were going to run the story, or if it was, if the administration basically said no, then if they wanted to run the story anyway, then they would run the story concurrent with the administration's response. But instead, and again, I think mainly because they got their feelings hurt the other day, they decided all in all and all out to just go, yeah, you know what? We're going to run it anyway. Truth be damned. So, for everybody who's talking about how it's Donald Trump's fault that the press has this bad reputation, the press has been doing it to themselves. And it's time that they figure that out. All right, so believe it or not, we are up to another break. So we have got to take a really quick break. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We'll be back here in just about, I believe, 2 minutes.
No Vietnam, so don't blink when you wanna come cross the border. Take a look around and come test the water.
And purchase his book.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Having a place to go after school will make you a better student. Having an outlet to express yourself will make you a better artist. Having something to do together will make you a better family. At the Y, we're helping build better friends, listeners, writers, swimmers, scientists, and musicians, one chance at a time. Give the gift of opportunity. Support the Y at ymca.net. The Y, for a better us.
All right, folks, welcome back. Well, believe it or not, we are just about out of time. I hope everybody's enjoying their weekend. Again, just to kind of go over everything again real quick as far as everywhere you can find the show. This show is available on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, FM Player, Google Play Music, Blueberry, and at least 2 or 3 others. And then, of course, we're available every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on AMFM247.com. We're available on Red Nation Rising Radio, the Liberty Channel, every Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern. And then we are available on CRNTalk.com every Saturday and Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific. And then, of course, we're available on KLRNradio.com every Thursday, or Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern. If you like what I do here, in case you haven't checked out any of the other work that I do, I actually do a couple of other shows. We have one that's on hiatus right now because we're looking for a liberal counterpart. Speaking of which, if you happen to be a liberal counterpart and you would like to participate in a once-a-week radio show, shoot me an email, rick@klrnradio.com. We can see if we can get that set up. All right, so yeah, we have a show called Finding Common Ground that is a weekly show that is currently in need of a liberal counterpart for the show to continue, so it is on hold right now. As far as other works that I do, I'm available on the Rick and Jen Show every Tuesday and Thursday on KLRNradio.com at 10 p.m. Eastern. Also carried over on, or actually as a podcast over on the LoftusParty.com website. And then, of course, we have the Robinson and Wright Show, a 2-hour show every Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern, or 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central. So, yes, I am a workaholic. I do radio like 12 times a day. Not really, but kind of seems that way because the show runs all over the place and the shows run in different places, and there's not really a time of day that you can't really turn it on and hear my voice somewhere, which makes a lot of people sad because some people complain about the sound of my voice. But that's mainly just my wife. Shh. Don't tell her I told you. All right, so anyway, we are just about out of time. There is one other story that I really wanted to get to today because this one annoyed me, and I actually saved it for last because I wanted to talk about the slightly more lighthearted, fun stuff first. But for those of you who weren't paying attention this week, we actually had what was termed a day without immigrants. I like to call it a day without illegal aliens. Alright, so anyway, now, I have a couple of, well, first of all, the interesting thing about this is they made it sound like they thought the entire country would ground to a halt without them, and yet it's now a couple of days after the fact, we're all still here. So I'm still waiting to, I'm really waiting for that end of the world thing. Yeah, that's about how I felt about it too. Because, they threw a big fit. Really all they got back was crickets. The one thing that it taught me, because, day without immigrants meant no food trucks, my stomach was in a lot better mood that day. I think I should stop eating at food trucks. Just saying. So that was basically the gist of what it taught me. The interesting thing is there are actually people that lost their job over the day without immigrant things. Because, there were places that basically told them if you don't show up to work tomorrow, don't show up ever again. And then they tried to show up anyway. Now, I was interested to see if there would be any way that these people that just opted to not show up might not be included in some of these future ICE raids that everybody's having a fit about now. Because, God forbid we actually enforce our own borders like we allow every other country on the planet to do. Just saying. Doesn't really make any sense to me. I don't get it. I mean, because here's the thing. Look, first of all, this is a misnomer. This wasn't a day without immigrants. Nobody doesn't want immigration in this country. We're not talking about immigration. We're talking about illegal aliens. That's what we're talking about. We don't have a problem with people who immigrate to this country, do it properly, follow the rules, follow our laws, and assimilate. But most of these people that are talking about, well, I just want to come to America to make a better life for my family, while they're waving Mexican flags everywhere. So here's my question. Do you want to come to America to become American? Or are you just wanting to sponge off of our economy and send it back home to your country? Because when you go to a pro-immigrant rally, waving flags from your country, it leads me to believe that your heart is still with your country. It's no different than all of these people that are Islamic, who say they want to come to America to build a better life, but then they bring everything about their country with them and want to start enforcing Sharia law on us. I don't know how many of these people that I have heard this from. And there are all of these movements around the country now that talk about how Sharia law would be the best law for America. And nothing, positively nothing, could be further from the truth. And yet, so we have the media spin up all the hype on this and call it a day without immigrants. Nobody's saying that. We want immigration. We don't want illegal aliens. So let's call it what it was. It was a day without illegal aliens. And all it saved me was probably a case of food poisoning. So, I'm over it. All right, so we got to get one last break out of the way. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We will be right back.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
All right, folks, we're back, and believe it or not, we are just about out of time. We had one last topic left that I wanted to make sure that I got to because, you know, here right now with the Trump administration talking about the fact that they want to repeal and replace Obamacare, which I really got upset when they started throwing the word replace in there with it too. One of the things that keep being thrown around again is, you know, every other civilized country on the planet has universal health care, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And let's not forget, back when this was all the new rage and new thing and everybody was talking about how great it was going to be, the Democrats like to tout the Veterans Administration. We see how well that turned out when we actually finally started seeing some of the truth that was coming out about the Veterans Administration. However, there's even more, because one of the things that we get thrown in our face all the time is, well, Canada has universal health care. Why can't we? There's been a study that's been put out about Canada's universal health care, and it ranks last in the countries that offer civilized versions of health care, quote unquote, in the ability for people to access the health care in a timely manner. As a matter of fact, in the last instance of this report, only 44% of Canadians stated that they would be able to get either same-day or next-day access to their primary care physician, which means the majority of those people were actually using emergency health care services as opposed to their primary care physician. So correct me if I'm wrong, because wasn't that one of the biggest selling points for Obamacare, was people would be able to start using their primary care physicians on a more regular basis, and it would cause less of an overburdening on our emergency room systems and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. These people have universal health care, and 44% of them on a regular basis report going to the emergency room because they can't get care from their primary care physician in the times that they actually need it. And yet this was supposed to make things better here. Not to mention the whole, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you like your healthcare plan, you can keep your healthcare plan. I lost my healthcare plan. Thanks, Obama. I'm not even joking anymore. You know, it was kind of a running joke. Everybody does the whole thanks Obama thing. I actually was one of the fortunate few that I work in a job that offers health insurance, and I also have a wife who works in a job that used to offer spousal coverages. So I was one of the fortunate few that if something went wrong, I could put down two forms of insurance, and as long as I made sure that the doctor I went to was covered in both networks, which was a lot harder than they made it sound, but it was still possible, then I wouldn't be out of pocket anything. And then occasionally, a few times a year, I'd have to argue with one of the insurance companies and ask them why they didn't pay anything. But it would still keep me from having to come out of pocket, which in my instance, because I should go to the doctor a lot more than I do. One of those stubborn type guys who thinks he doesn't need to go to the doctor. My wife yells at me about it all the time. But now I'm in a situation where now if I go to the doctor, I'm going to have to come out of pocket as soon as I get in there because I'm going to have copays. And now my insurance at my job is worse, so my copays have gone up. But Obamacare was supposed to make everything better, which is another reason why I'm really, really upset about the fact that we went from repealing it to repealing it and replacing it. We don't need to replace it with anything. We need to rework the systems that we already have to cover the people that are too poor to have insurance any other way. And then we need to open up our medical coverages any other way. And then we need to open up the insurance. We need to open up insurance coverages across state lines. We did the same thing when car insurance became a mandatory thing to lower prices. If we're going to make medical coverage a thing that we want to make sure everybody has, and that they have access to medical care, not just medical coverage, because that's the other thing. Obamacare didn't guarantee access to medical care. It mandated access to medical coverage. And now most people can't even afford to use the coverages because their deductibles are so high. The people, I mean, they can tout, whoa, we have more people on health insurance than we've ever had. Well, yeah, you can say that, but that you made it illegal for them to not get it. So I'm not sure how that qualifies. Just being honest. And again, this didn't guarantee access to health care. It mandated access to health insurance. And now we have more and more health insurance companies that are dropping out on a daily basis because they can't keep up with the paperwork changes and they can't keep up with the headaches that it causes. My children's doctor went out of business shortly after Obamacare started, as far as his private practice was concerned. He took he took down his shingle, went back to a medical practice with multiple doctors under a corporate umbrella, and now practices there because it's easier to keep up with the regulations and the paperwork with a group of doctors than it is to try to do it on your own. Let's not forget, the small business is the driving engine of the American economy, and the Obama administration took out the spark plug wires with the Affordable Care Act. We saw this outlined in the debate between Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz, or as I affectionately call them, Uncle Speedo and Count Chocula. Neither one of them like that, by the way. And I actually like Ted Cruz, but he reminds me, I can't help it. He reminds me of a younger Grandpa Munster. And then it turned into Count Chocula. And if I ever meet him in person again, I'll probably have to apologize. Because I know he listens from time to time, and he's probably going to yell at me. But anyway, well, he used to. Probably till he found that I called him Count Chocula. But anyway, we are officially out of time. This has been the America Off the Rails, the Week in Review edition, ending February 18th, 2017. And again, if you haven't caught it yet, make sure you go check out. I'm sure you can find the Red Eye, at least part of it, on maybe the Fox Channel's website or maybe YouTube. I would encourage you to go check out that episode, not just because I actually happen to know Michael Loftus, but because it was a pretty funny episode, which they usually are, but it was kind of cool seeing somebody up there that I know. Anyway, we are officially out of time. I am running long, so I've got to get out of here. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We'll be back starting again Monday night. Take care. God bless.